What's up, everybody? Octopath Traveler 0, the latest entry in the Octopath Traveler franchise. Super excited to talk about this one. It's coming from somebody like me here who is a first timer to the series. We have Vinny, the Fyraga fighter, who loves Octopath Traveler and has been playing this game with us. And we have the Excalibro, who has not yet been able to play Octopath Traveler, so we'll be coming from the perspective of you watching right now. Going to ask us questions. If you have any questions, bring them into the conversation. And I want to say a big thank you to Square Enix for trusting us with review codes. Thank you for sending those over to us. Thank you to Richard Stoles and Drumjod for equipping us with the ultimate weapons, and a shout out to all of our Final Fan TV party members who support us through YouTube memberships, Patreon, and Coffee. Bringers of hype, be sure to look out for that exclusive Storytime with Excalibro fanfic where Barrett tells Marlene the truth about Dyne. It's really good. But now we are going to jump right into this, and we have our 5 pillars: the story, gameplay, audio, visuals, and then the legacy. So legacy is going to work like, hey, you watch Final Fan TV because you love Final Fantasy. This game doesn't have Final Fantasy in the title. Did you guys notice that? So it's like, hey, are you a Final Fantasy fan looking to get into Octopath Traveler? Is this the game for you? We're going to answer that question as well. So let's dive right in there. Excalibro, I'm going to pitch this over to you to kind of guide us along this review.
My pleasure. All right, well, let's kick it off with an intro that borrows something from an article on Inverse by Hayes Madsen. So this article is an interview with producer Hirohito Suzuki and director Yasuhiro Kidara. When did the idea for Octopath Traveler 0 come around? Was the project always meant to use elements of Champions of the Continent, or did it start as something else? Suzuki says both Kidara and I were involved in the development of Champions of the Continent, and even back then it was a game where the concept was wanting to bring the experience that originally existed on consoles to mobile players as well. So actually, since the time Champions of the Continent was live in operation, we've always had the thought of wanting to bring that experience back to console too, especially as we saw feedback from fans strongly wishing to see that happen. Okay, so some opening questions. So let's just start with, have either of you played an Octopath Traveler before? You sort of touched on this already a little bit, Dan, but I want you guys to tell us a little bit more specifically what your experiences have been, and let's kick that over to Vinny first.
All right, so I have played Octopath Traveler before in the past. I believe I played Octopath Traveler 1 in 2000, either 18 or 19. I don't remember when I got it, but I've always, ever since, falling in love with Final Fantasy, I'm always looking for another RPG to fall in love with, because in between Final Fantasies, I want to scratch that JRPG itch. And so Octopath Traveler 1 really hooked me. And then it hooked me again when it came out for the I like gacha games, and it had a gacha aspect with Champions of the Continent. So I wanted to get into playing it on the mobile platform. And I did really like the mobile platform of it. So that was really my experience with Octopath Traveler. And then when I found out that this was coming out, I definitely knew that this was going to be something that I was going to be playing.
So
Awesome.
I played a little bit of Octopath Traveler 1, and a little bit of Octopath Traveler 2. So I refer to myself as a newcomer to this because this is the first time I've actually dove in and said I'm willing to play. But it's not only that for me. It's actually this Octopath Traveler hooked me. Whereas the first two, I was not hooked with it. I guess, we could always blame it on, well, there's probably another game popped up and I switched over to play that game, or maybe I just wasn't really feeling it. There is a difference in the way that the story is told in this one that I actually really, really like. And I think we're going to dive into that in a second when we start talking about story. But my history with it is that where I just kind of dabbled in the first two, but this one, man, this one got me.
Okay. So you said that it really hooked you, especially as compared to the ones that you had played before. So let's dive into that a little bit deeper. What were your first impressions when you booted up Octopath Traveler 0?
Yeah, dude. So like you can play the demo. The demo's out there. So if you're watching this review and it's appealing to you, you can go play the demo and get a taste of it. Now that is just a taste. Because you're really going to dive into what this game, like what makes this game special. It takes it takes time. It takes time to get into it. I will say that. But the demo does hook you with the story. Now the gameplay gets a lot better than you play in the demo, but the story is really good at the end of that demo. And that's what hooks you. So like this, in the previous Octopath Travelers, it's here you have 8 characters and you're going to play their stories. So like you'll play the dancer and then you'll hop over to the gunslinger over here. You get to choose which story you want, and eventually they'll all kind of come together, and it's like, oh, all of these individual storylines have come together in a satisfying way, I imagine, because I never got there. But like, I know that all those individual stories come together, and that's the one that didn't get me, right? Like that's the part of the game that didn't get me. But with this one, you create your own character, so the story is centered around you as the player. So like you've created your own character. He or she, how you create your character, is a silent protagonist. But that has the dialogue boxes with the ... indicating that your character's talking, but you're not saying anything. You're not even reading anything on the screen. So it's basically like, hey, insert your own thought here as you're talking. But it's all about you as the player, whereas you are central to the plot. And I think that's the part that hooked me. Where the other Octopath, individual stories is cool if you're into, like story time with Excalibur and stuff like that, right? You're into that story time, right? You like those individual stories, but for this one, I liked it that it was all about me. You know what I mean? I like that.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Very good. And so, Vinny, was there anything early on that story-wise, mechanically, visually, tonally, that hooked you in or surprised you?
Well, just right from booting up the game, the music in the starting menu, and just the little nuance I liked about the starting menu was, I kind of just let it play so I can listen to the music, because it was really good from the start. But in true Octopath fashion, it starts off with your character just kind of running by himself, and then there's like a little scene, and then there's 2 people running, and then a scene, and then there's 3 people running, and the number just keeps getting bigger, and it just kind of elicited that feeling of like, having 8 homies just running around with each other. And then you start the game, and then immediately, which is new to the series now, character customization, like Daniel was saying, I felt more in control of the story rather than jumping back and forth. It felt very much more streamlined, so it was easier for me to follow, and I still got the choice to choose what I wanted to do, what path I wanted to go down. So I would say definitely the visuals and the audio is what had me like, I'm gonna like this game.
That's a really
Nice.
good point. Then, like this game shines, especially in the audio department. And I know I'm skipping to a different pillar here, but I gotta shout it out right out the beginning, because I feel like as the warrior of hype, right? I want to bring the hype, and I'm gonna bring it right now. I want to bring it right now, okay? Because the audio in this game. Hold on a second, because I don't know if I want to be. I'm not gonna be like hyperbolic. I'm not going over. I don't want to go too far.
Hyperbolic. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Hype. Okay.
Hype.
Yeah. I put this up there with the best of Final Fantasy.
Oh wow.
I put it up there with the best of Final Fantasy soundtrack. Here's a little taste. This is coming from the official HD2D Games on Twitter. At HD2D Games. They posted it, so I imagine that it's okay to play it. So I'm going to play a little taste of the Decisive Battle 0. I'm just skipping around. Come on! Okay. All right. I had to skip around a little bit. I'm trying not to get like hit with a copyright or anything. Like, I'm sorry, trying to talk over a little bit, but like, you could go check that out on at HD2D Games. That is Decisive Battle 0 by Yasunori Nishiki? Yasunori Nishiki. Nishiki. Yeah. Thank you. What? I gotta learn that name. I gotta remember that name because Yasunori Nishiki?
Nishiki.
Yo.
It'll come back up later. Don't worry.
I see you or I hear you. I hear you. Okay, I hear you. Because, dude, that might be, like, that name might become something, you know, that this solidified your name in the. I love this OST so much. I love the soundtrack. Every now and then I just stop and I listen to it. I'm in a battle, like Decisive Battle 0 is playing, but that's not even the battle theme that I want people to hear. Like, there's just so many good stuff in here. And yeah, the audio for me, I'm skipping right to audio pillar and I'm lifting it up. I'm bringing the audio pillar up to like 10 out of 10. This is super freaking good. And we'll talk a little bit more about audio when it comes outside of the OST, but man, awesome.
And all right, well, you know what? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I was gonna say, like, you guys know that when it comes to OSTs in these games, I'm a huge fan. I usually put the battle themes at the top, you know, boss battle or regular battle. I usually put those at the top. I'm just gonna say this now, like, as somebody who loves these battle themes, this isn't even the best track on the OST. Like, there are some just like story beat OST tracks that I'm just like, damn, like, that is good. So I just, you know, that was a great track. That's not even the best one. That's not even the best one.
Yeah,
man, I love that. So well, let's talk about the audio. So are there any other specific tracks or arrangements that really stood out? So I mean, we just showcased Decisive Battle 0, but go ahead and jump in with some of the others that really stood out to you. Like, let's do it.
So okay, the thing is I don't know what we're allowed to even talk about, because obviously you can't say any story beats. You can't talk about the story beats that happened. Do you have one that like this one? Obviously, I wanted to highlight that Decisive Battle 0. There is a there is a boss battle that happens in the prologue. I think, I don't know if that one was maybe the same thing, but anyways, great. What do you got, Vinny? You got something for me?
So without like spoilers, I won't say what path it's down or anything like that, but there is somebody who has a theme, and now in the game you do collect stuff. You can listen to music in the game. So I don't know what the names of the tracks are, but this goes along with a certain person, and you kind of hear.
You can probably say what path.
Okay. Well, if I could say what path, then it's going to be down the path of wealth.
Okay.
And there is somebody who has, usually whenever they are on screen, you hear kind of like an operic, like a choir singing, and it's very subtle until it's not subtle, and once it kind of hit me in the face, I was like, oh my god, like this is really good.
Love me a good choir track, bro.
Yeah.
It was beautifully done. Very, very well composed. And it's not even a battle track, and I was like, this might be one of my favorites.
The menu, the start screen, not the menu screen, but the where you continue the whatever, right when you boot up the game.
Yep.
That it is it starts off almost like haunting in a way, like the
Yes.
it's got this very mature haunting undertone going on right now, and then it picks up and you just feel like you're ready for an adventure, like you're about to go on an adventure. And that's when what Vinny was saying, like they start showing the party kind of expanding as they're running along, and they going through the different locations and varied biomes. Like you got snowy location, you got a desert, you got artistically this is
And they all look beautiful.
exactly, like it's very like you're spanning a whole continent, and it's got your different you know, biomes there and everything. But as they're running through that, the music picks up, and it just feels like, oh man, you just get ready to play the game. I freaking love that's a standout track for me right there at the opening starting screen.
I'm gonna be a caricature of myself. You guys are gonna make fun of me, but believe it or not, the title theme is very reminiscent of Elden Ring's title theme for me. How Elden Ring kind of starts off very like haunting. It's very, very, you know, low, and you just kind of hear some notes and everything, and then out of nowhere it's very bombastic. It's like duh, duh, and it's like, you know, it just comes out of nowhere. I was like, that's what this felt like. It just kind of stopped
This one
and then
picks it up.
punched you in the face with it.
Picks up, and you're like, oh man, I'm
Nice.
ready to go. I'm running with him on there.
Yeah, I'm running with them.
Let's
Doing
go.
my cardio.
And then
Man,
while we're
so-
on it, do you go ahead? Are you still on the audio?
Yeah. So I was gonna
Keep coming.
say, so I read somewhere that this OST has tracks from the previous games as well as new content. So it's kind of loaded, right? So if you noticed, because maybe you didn't, but how does the soundtrack compare to the music from the first two games? Or even from Champions of the Continent, if there are things that they brought over or changed or did an arrangement of?
That's a Vinny question.
Okay, so I didn't even know that they used tracks from the original two games, which I don't know if they were recomposed or not, but if they were done in such a way that made them feel brand new again, because I definitely didn't pick up on that. Some things did sound familiar, but I thought that might have just been like, you know, nostalgia bias or something. But I will say that if they did use previous tracks, I feel like they may have been recomposed, and it kind of breathed a new life into them, because everything in this sounded so done from the ground up.
Okay. I like that. So next question, in terms of sound design, so like ambient effects, battle sound effects, voice work, that kind of stuff. How did these things bring you into the immersion, right?
Shout out to my man or person. I don't know. Yeah, shout out to a character that's down the path of wealth, which is it's funny because it's not necessarily my favorite path. You know what I mean? Like, but like it's really good. But shout out to that character. All right, excellent performance, excellent voice acting. Family. That's it. That's all I'll say.
Family. That's all we get.
That's all you're gonna get.
This is spoiler free, folks.
That's it. But yeah, that's excellent voice acting. And when we did the tactics review, we talked about how you're looking at a diorama, you're looking at 2D, not sprites, but you're looking at these old PS1 kind of models going on. And then they deliver a performance that you're like, oh wow, they're really getting into this and really selling it, because you're not seeing those facial expressions as much, especially in this game because it's pixel art. So you're not really seeing it as well, but their performance paints the picture really well. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, like overall, I would say the voice cast is really good, and they definitely get into it. This is a mature story. This is a very I mean, there are funny moments, but this is very this is a dark story, I would say. This is a story of like the corruption like that these things can have over a person, but it's also a story about community and things like that. So it's that basically what do we call that, a dichotomy between the two. I don't know, of
Mhm.
these two very different things, but yeah, it is a mature story, and they are delivering performances that really sell the story. There are a few characters here and there that I'm like, like,
Mhm.
like, oh man, this other person though, that you're paired up with this person that is really just giving it their all right now.
Mhm.
So sometimes a little unbalanced sometimes, but for the most part, great performances. What do you think, Vinny?
I think, like you said, it's a very dark story, but it's surprisingly dark.
Yeah,
You have all these bright, beautiful colors. You have all of these like very animated characters, and littered with a lot of the, you know, tropes of like crazy villain, tortured past people, and then you just have these like real life you just have like these real life moments in these characters. Some of their screams, just I listening to their performances, I almost forgot I was playing a 2D 3D game. Like
yeah.
it very much felt like I was playing a very modern, 3D fully realized game, and these performances and it didn't feel out of place either. It didn't feel like, oh, it's cartoonish with really really good voice acting. Like even just all the detail in the characters, even though they're pixelated, I feel like every pixel of the character served a purpose. It was just very well detailed that way, and then the voice acting just kind of took took the story from being way up here and just pushed it even further through the roof. Like
Nice.
everything everything with that aspect was great. We talked a lot about the voice acting. I do want to say the battle sounds and the ambient noise um definitely feels organic, I would say. Everything did kind of cohesively work together. Uh I did like going through hearing all of my guys in battle just kind of like communicating and talking to each other. You switch characters out from the front row
Oh
and the
yeah,
back
yeah.
row. That's pretty common for Octopath, and it's like they're kind of like running past each other, giving each other a high five. They're like, you switch people out, and they're like, "All right, you got this." And then like somebody's like, "I'm gonna just chill in the back row." Like they actually like talk to each other as they're
Oh,
passing each
nice.
other. Like it just makes the battle feel more alive. And if they weren't talking to each other in battle, I feel like it would become very drum and dreary every time you're in battle. No one's talking, everyone's just and
Yeah.
then like
I
but
like
you
that
have little
too.
quips.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Like imagining it if it wasn't there, if something would be missing. That's a good point. I think I wish they would have added a little bit more, like variations of
Mhm.
what they would say, because they definitely repeat themselves quite a bit.
They do.
That would be my only things that I could knock on this game. I'm glad that you brought it up, because it was in my notes as a kind of like a critique in a way, where you said that everything feels organic and natural, and it enhances it, especially when they're talking back and forth. I would say that a little more dialogue options there for that would have been probably a little bit better. And then there the girl actually sounds exactly like Aerith and says, "I'll show you what I can do," and I'm like, wait a second, Aerith. That's isn't that what Aerith says? Like in her battle dialogue. But anyways, no. So there's that, and then I don't know if it was me, and it could be a me thing. I don't know if you noticed this at all, Benny, but like I had my
Mhm.
headphones on, and I have the bass boost on. I have a subwoofer on my home stereo, but I feel like not enough impact, if you know what I mean. Like I don't feel like there's like a crunch to like some of these attacks, and some of these almost 10G
Mhm.
at times. But
For this game, it was definitely all about the treble, no bass.
that's
There was there, there
okay.
I definitely see what you're talking about. Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't notice it while playing, but uh, thinking back now, like, yeah, there's not a lot of that like deep, heavy, like you got people using swords and spears and stuff, and it's just more of a ting instead of like a shunk.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
want a chunk, man. I want something chunky there.
yeah.
But yeah, so that was my only critique there, because otherwise, this
Okay.
audio pillar is good, bro. Really good.
So my closing question is going to be: we're going to take it back to this composer who everybody needs to learn this name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yasunori
No,
Nishiki.
Naoki. No, you're right.
Naoki.
No, I'm sorry. Naoki is the artist. I'm sorry. I had that one up. Yeah,
I'm like,
Yasunori. I'm sorry. Yasunori
it's all right.
Nishiki.
Nish,
Yasunori Nishiki.
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 Yes.
Yasunori
Close enough.
Nishiki. Listen,
You got it.
if
All right.
if Yasunori's watching this, he's gonna be like, "I'm so happy they said my name 1,000 times on this, so that people are going to remember Yasunori Nishiki."
There you go.
Got it. Go ahead, Juan.
That was my plan all along. It's just a plug. So, no. All right. So how would you describe the musical identity, right, of this composer? Maybe in Final Fantasy terms for the audience, or something like, how would you just how would you describe the musical identity? Kind of simple.
That's a good question. Honestly, I really feel like this speaks to me as a Final Fantasy fan. So this soundtrack, as I'm walking into towns, I'm noticing like little hooks, like little melodic hooks that I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know, like I'm grooving to this town, and I now associate this hook to this town. That's a Final Fantasy thing to me. So we're in, and not a knock on Dragon Quest, but that is the game that I played literally just last time. I just played Dragon Quest. And Dragon Quest is more of like, you're walking into an amusement park. It's just there to make you feel like you're having, like, it's, you know, you're having a good time. whereas this, I feel like it's got personality. It's got personality is a good way to put it. It's got personality in every town. It's got personality with, like Vinny was talking about, with these villains. They have their own unique track, their own unique theme that plays whenever they're on screen. That's a Final Fantasy, at least a classic Final Fantasy thing to me, where it's like, oh, now I associate this character with this theme, and it's ingrained into my mind. And then, like Vinny says, all of a sudden it's brought up to another level. This one goes to 11 now. You know, like it's just like, it's like, whoa, it's so good, right? So I would say that is kind of the identity of the sound, the audio here. It's like, it's got personality to it. And yeah, what about you, Vinny?
To go along with like the villains having their own like musical identity, even the towns, just going from the town, that the main town for Path of Power is, you kind of have this like solemn, oppressive theme. You go to the town for the Path of Fame, and you kind of have this, like, I would say, kind of like a regality to it, like very regal.
Theater, you know, like you get, it's all about,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then Path of Wealth, the town you go to, it kind of very much reminded me of like the Turks. It kind of has a very like jazzy, low down, like you're kind of like walking with sewer rats, kind of like, you know, like theme to it. So even the towns had their own identity, which again I think is very Final Fantasy, because when you talk about OSTs, you're like, oh, you know, going to Gold Saucer, like Gold Saucer's theme totally sets up the atmosphere for Gold Saucer. It, you know, everything kind of just fits really well. I think that's this game's musical identity is definitely knowing what sounds good for the theme that town or character is trying to portray. I think they did a very good job with that.
Nice. So to be accurate to say that it really is capturing sort of the mood of these different places, that's kind of what I'm picking up from what you guys are saying. Okay.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The mood, for sure.
Awesome. So there's a couple things that you said that stood out to me, and it's going to be a great segue into what we talk about next. You were talking about different paths. So I'm going to go back to this Inverse article real quick. We have a question here. To clarify, how do the two story paths work? Can you choose to focus on one, or are both necessary? And Suzuki said the way the game is built out is that At first, you're able to choose one or the other, but as the story progresses, elements or facets become intertwined with one another. So they both become crucial in the experience. So I'm going to throw a question out on top of this. So the other Octopath games traditionally tell 8 separate stories. So how does Octopath Traveler 0 handle its narrative structure? Like I said, you guys have touched on this a little bit, so let's dive in.
All right. I've got something.
Go for it.
So the way Octopath Traveler in the past had the 8 stories converge, so you had 8 stories coming into one. I feel like this game definitely takes it to where it's one story and you can do it multiple different ways and it's all going to pay off the same. So it's definitely kind of a contrast to that, where it's like it doesn't matter where you start, it's where the journey ends, right? So the ends justify the means. You're gonna go through, and then you're gonna get to a point, and you're gonna want to go check out what's going on over here. The game's gonna kind of be like, hey, you know, I've got something for you, and they're gonna dangle it in front of you. And now it's up to you if you want to continue with what you're doing, or if you kind of want to segue break into a different part of the game. And I think it does so in a way that doesn't punish you for playing the way you want to play.
Okay. So it's sort of, you get to choose the way that it unfolds, is what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, go ahead, Dan.
No, I was just gonna say that, yeah, like as Vinny was saying, as you're going through and you can do chapter, because each path has a certain amount of chapters in it, and then even after you complete, let's say you complete chapter 1 of that path, you can go ahead and start the next path and do the chapter 1 of that one, and then the next path, because there's 3 paths. I'm not sure if I understood the question. They were like, you can choose one or the other. You can actually choose between three paths. So there's 3 different paths, 3 different stories that are being told. And like I said, if you do chapter 1 there, you can go do chapter 1 here, chapter 1, and then come back, do the next chapter. And as you start that chapter, it'll actually give you a nice little recap, which I thought, I really like that, where it's like, previously on, you know what I mean? Like previously on Octopath Traveler. You know, it doesn't say that, but it does give you a nice little rundown of like, this person was doing this is what was happening here, and you're all caught back up, and then now you're like, you can jump into the next part of that path.
The thing that you're talking about is at the beginning it says the story so far ... and then it goes into like explaining everything. Which I agree. I thought that was really nice, because it's like I beefed through like each path one at a time, but same. I can definitely see, like, if I went through chapter 1, then chapter 1, then chapter 1, and I go back to do chapter 2, it's like okay, where did I leave off? But I think that the 2 diverging paths in the article that they're talking about is, one path is the main path
story
of,
yeah,
and then the next path is going to be more so the kind of outside thing where you're going and collecting people that you know.
We know
so,
that there's town building in this game.
Okay, so yes,
we're gonna circle back around to that here in a minute.
Yeah, town building is an element, and that's in the gameplay. So we'll definitely talk about that. Yeah.
So I have a couple of clarifying questions. So, well, first of all, it sounds like they're using this recap so that no matter what order you play the story, it's cohesive and it's coherent, right? You understand, you remember, and you have all the details that you need right in front of you as you're going forward. So, now, correct me if I'm wrong, is this story more focused around the central character than a slew of other characters' narratives coming together? Like these paths that you're describing, are they all for the central protagonist?
Yeah, so like that was kind of one of the things that I appreciated about this one, was that the character is central to the plot. And in other Octopaths, you are getting the 8 separate stories, but whereas this one, you go down the path and you meet characters along the way, and they basically support that story. And then you can gain companions through side quests, like you can meet somebody. I think if there was anything that might have been like, maybe it could have been done differently, maybe it is done okay enough, because you meet 30 companions. So
Mhm.
it's like you are deciding who's the core. You know what I mean? Who's the MySpace top 8? You know what I mean? We got into MySpace top 8. That's a reference that maybe a lot of people don't know. But yeah, like who's the real ones? You know what I mean? Who are you gonna keep around? And
Okay.
and you're kind of developing that relationship almost outside of the game in a way, but you do get to go back to your hub world or hub location, and there will be an option to do like a party chat. And then like so you click the start button, it brings you into this nice little cutscene of them hanging out, man. They're just hanging out. They develop like relationships there with some of these characters you pick up along the way. So you get to know them a little bit better, even a little bit more. It's not like they have their one story arc or their one little thing and then they're done. They do have like some interactions with each other back at the home base type thing. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. So they're building up this party. Even though there's 30 companions, they are still trying to find a way to make each one of them important. But yeah, like so but mainly this is a story about the main character. This is about you, the player. And I really like that about this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So here's a question. So, all right, I'm going to add on to that then. So, the previous games had multiple characters with individual character arcs, and this one focuses on a single character's arc and developing it in multiple ways. So, do you feel that this method of storytelling is stronger and maybe even more interconnected than doing it the other way, or what are your thoughts on that?
For me, the answer is yes. Like, so I personally like this. And like I was saying, I mean, people who enjoy just a story, like just tell me individual stories. Tell me tell me a story at bed, like a bedtime story type thing. And then eventually they all come together in Avengers Endgame thing. That's cool. But for me, I like this part. And one thing that I want to add on to what I was saying is that at first I didn't know exactly where this story was going. I was like, oh man, is this just going to be like I'm the central character and I'm kind of going down and I'm experiencing these stories, but they don't really like where's the overarching plot, right? Like what is the
Hmm.
big like what's more important than what I'm doing here? And there is something more. So like I do want to say that. I did like that a lot. So go ahead, Vinny. What are you go ahead and say something.
So yeah,
I'm just
go
talking. I'm
ahead.
just talking. You
Speak.
talk, bro. Speak, man. I'm talking too
Speak.
much. I'm talking too
um
much.
no, I do like what you're saying. I do agree. Having 8 different stories going on, at the same time, all converging into one, like, I know that works for some people. For me, I like how this game did it where there's still multiple stories going on, but it feels instead of, like, everything is tangled together, it kind of feels like all of the wires are nice and neat and going in the same
Mm,
direction. Um
Hmm.
you have your overarching story that the main character is really interested in, and then when you go down the 3 different paths, you kind of meet other people who have a similar goal in mind as you, but have a different reason for wanting to achieve that goal, and you kinda tag along with them. So even though you're the main character, when you hit somebody else's story, you're still the main character, but you don't feel like the main character of that story
right.
until the end when you get your payoff, but so does the other person. And then you go to the next one and you're still the main character, still a completely different story, but then like you feel like a tag along on somebody else's story, but it still makes sense as to why you would be there in the first place. So it all does make sense and it's still told in separate ways, but you still always feel like the main character. You are still the eye on the screen, even though other people are kind of being the movers and shakers of that story. It makes sense for you to be where you're at all the time,
Yeah,
which is
Hmm.
that's a good
I
point.
think very,
Okay.
very cohesive.
Yeah,
So the other characters are sort of complementary then, or helping the story move in the same direction that it's going for the main character. They're reinforcement of the main themes.
yeah,
Correct.
absolutely.
Cool. Very good. All right, guys. Well, were there any particular story moments or story beats, character moments that stood out that you want to talk about? Probably keep it early game only, so because these are going to be spoilers.
No,
I
no, I don't think we should
I
talk about spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I nothing I'm gonna say is a spoiler. I'm just gonna say my favorite aspect of the story from where I'm at right now, I really, really like, and also I love and I hate, in a good way, all of the villains.
Yeah, dude. The villains
I
are strong in this one. They're a
mm,
strong part of the story. And they're just pure evil, man. Like it's just pure evil. And sometimes
you're
Okay.
evil, but
Yeah.
you also feel for them.
Yeah.
You're also like in a different life, I could be on your side.
Yeah, the villains are super good in this.
So good.
Well, that's interesting. So there's actually a question in this Inverse article that covers that. And I wasn't going to bring it up, but you guys did. So the question is, villains were a huge part of Champions of the Continent story. I know you've significantly expanded the overall narrative. Has this allowed you to make the villains richer? And Suzuki says, when it comes to the depth of the villains, I feel that overall they appear in this game with new thematic components being added specifically. What that means is this game adds major new story content to both the beginning and the ending of the experience. Within that, when the story kicks off, essentially is when the village the player is peacefully living in is absolutely decimated and destroyed. This, sorry for the spoiler. This is in the article.
That's in the that's in the article. All right, this has been
Yeah,
Also
this is
in
in
the
the
demo.
article. This is from there, they have the option to pursue two stories. Because this is the two stories that progress in parallel. The more restoration-focused story, or a
gotcha.
story that's more focused on revenge, where the villains in particular play a much larger role. Interesting. Okay, that's yeah. Now I'm kind of excited to check this out.
And that's
Very cool. I love a good villain arc.
Man, let me tell you, you're gonna love this game. I just wish that you were able to play alongside with us here, because there's a lot of moments where I was just like, I'm just texting. I even texted you a couple times. I'll text Vinny. I'm like, yo, this game is wild. like, I'm just texting you, man. Like, where are you right now? I need to talk to you. But yeah, like you're gonna love that. And then like the fact that you were able to say that about the town, I think that can lead us into the gameplay part of the whole restoration and what that's all about. Now, but before we do that though, are we like if we have anything else to say about the story? Like, of course we kind of have to make sure we're very cautious. We're tiptoeing around a lot of stuff here, but I mean, I feel like we covered story pretty good.
That was my last question.
Cool,
So
cool.
I mean, we're good to move forward if you guys are.
I'm good with that. Yeah.
We're gonna move into gameplay. So the first thing I'm gonna bring up is the town building, because we have a question from the Inverse article right here. Where did the idea for Octopath Zero's town building come from? How have you balanced the town building feeling? How have you balanced the town building feeling meaningful to the overall experience, but not too overwhelmingly complex? Suzuki says, with the overall idea of town building, the core concept is making the player themselves the protagonist of the story. So when we thought about what we could do to make the experience feel really personal for the player, we felt a great way to explore that concept would be to essentially have them create something important to themselves. And that's where the idea came from. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about this town building. This was not in the first game, which that's the extent of my knowledge on the series. And so I'm really interested to hear you guys' thoughts on this. And do you think this was pulled off? This sort of narrative pull through in the rationale for including it in the game?
Go ahead, Vinny. You got something to say? What's going on?
Vinny's laughing, so we got to start with Vinny.
Yeah, I got to start with Vinny here.
Let us in on the joke, Vin.
So I love how different my town and Daniel's town.
Hey, wait, you didn't laugh at my town, bro. Wait a second.
It was so funny, Wiley saying, like, the player gets to build something that's meaningful to them, and I'm just picturing Daniel's town, and like, Daniel just obviously wants to be a slumlord, and
He put the Dan Corneo signature on his town.
He did. He did. He said the beatings will continue until morale improves in this town.
Bro, I stacked him up, man. I like, you'll get a lot of room to work with at first, and I'm like, you know what? Here we go. We got a house here, house here, house here, and then immediately right behind him is another house, another house. Vinny said, "Can you even get into those houses?" I'm like, "Yeah. You gotta go through the alley. You gotta go through the alleyway."
Your town needs rent control, and I don't even know what the prices are, bro.
I have my town where there's respectable space between the houses, and there's pathways, there's a sidewalk, there's a road system, there's all of this stuff. Again, none of this was complex at all. It was very easy to make a very comfortable community for my people. And then it was like, oh yeah, I didn't do it. He said, I didn't do any of that. He's like, let me show you my town. And then I see 6 houses literally sharing tiles with each other. And I'm like, oh yeah, nothing says community more than being able to steal your neighbor's pancake off their table from your own kitchen.
Right. Like, just reach out the window.
Yeah. and then I was like in there, I'm like, I have my own little head cannons going on here. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna pair this. I'm gonna pair the freaking preacher with the dancer. Like they're gonna be a nice little couple in here.
I see what you did, Dan.
I'm like,
He's trying to bring people together. That's what he does. That's what he does.
That's it. Yeah, you can have like 2 people in the one house, and then you get bigger houses. You can upgrade those houses, which is nice. You can change the appearance of the house as you get the town leveled up. You can click on the house and say, I want this thing to look nice now. I want it to have a blue roof with the like a stone building. It's really nice. You can have customization over that. You can drop down some cobblestone like Vinny did and actually have a nice little street and sidewalks for them to walk on. I just plopped mine right on the grass. I mean, we're not there yet, but then you got like in this home town, you got your farm that you can actually get some like pigs, chickens, and things like that. They'll yield like eggs and meat and things like that you can take to the pub. You can cook. You make meals there, and basically like, and then there's also the harvest area as well, so where you got like broccoli, grapes. You're gonna want a lot of grapes because grapes increase your experience, right? So if you get some grape juice, you drink some grape juice, you get like 20 turns of 25% extra experience points. So there's things like that can actually boost, like it's Final Fantasy 15 style, right? Where you eat a meal and it it helps you out. I think that's even like Zelda Breath of the Wild thing. You know what I mean? Like you cook up a meal, you get a little boost there that lasts you a certain amount of turns in battle. So it's not like a time limit, it's just a turn limit. And so there's things like that. You got certain citizens have different like specialities, right? You know what I mean? So like they could do like yields more meat, something like that, right? If they're over here in the farm, they know how to handle the farm. So you want to house them over here in the farm. And there's certain people that will be like, hey, this person will frequently give you healing items. So every time you visit the town, go in there and speak with them, and they're like, hey, here you go. Here's a olive of life, and those things are nice. That's your Phoenix down. So you go in there, you grab. So like your community actually ends up helping you out a lot. And going back to the hub world or this town is actually beneficial to you. To even improve it, you don't have to go down this path, I don't think, because some of these benefits are just nice little bonuses, but I don't think that's essential to the story to do them. But I don't know. It really worked for me, man, and it's a very, very, very simple town building. Like it's very simple. It's grid based. You're plopping the pre-built houses down, and you're plopping the if you want to do cobblestone, I did appreciate that if you hold the R trigger and then you like swipe, it'll just lay them down, so you're not doing like individual. Yeah, what do you think, Fighter?
I think it's weird because I'm not usually into town building in games. Usually I'll ignore it. This, I think, is a mechanic you shouldn't ignore. you can ignore it, but it with all the benefits you get from it, it definitely helps you out in the main part of the game, but also the main part of the game is also doing things for you to like you will collect stuff, and I was almost it when you'll hit certain points. I wanted to continue the town building quest, and
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I
Hmm.
want to keep going. I want to keep going. So I have to do other stuff in order to keep going. So I went to go do other stuff. Um, and then there's also it's not just like it's not just you collect stuff and there's actual like battles that also coincide with the town building stuff. So it's not just like, oh, here I am town building, and it's
Hmm.
not complex either, where it's going to be very confusing and befuddled with a whole lot of nuances. It's very straightforward, and it gives you very straightforward rewards, gives you lore bits, and then also kind of just makes you feeling good and happy that people are happy.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
you're like the
bringing everybody
mayor.
together. Yeah, and you're bringing
Yeah.
everybody together again after this big tragic event. And you'll find them scattered around the continent, and because after that event they all had to flee, and then like you bring them back and like, hey, we're rebuilding, and they're like, oh, what? And then that you come on back. They come on back, and you're inviting people to come to the town because you're building the town up. And so it's kind of cool to start from scratch. Like you start off with one little house, and then all of a sudden you're starting to build this community. And I think it's a really really important theme. Like it fits well into what the story's trying to tell. So it's like, hey,
Mm.
here's a gameplay mechanic that's also tied in very well with what this game is trying to tell, the story. And so I like that as well, and all of the materials that you'll find that out while you're adventuring. Like you'll see like a little Dragon Quest style sparkles, and you go over there, you pick it up, boom, you got wood, and like so now you can build these things. I've never had an issue where I run into it's like, oh, you don't have enough material to build this. I haven't had that yet.
Mhm.
It's only at the very very beginning of the game where it's like, go get the material. but
Right.
but other than that, like it's not annoying. It's not in the way. It doesn't get in the way of it where it's like, I want to go back here and I want to build my community, but I freaking have to, go get the stuff. I have to go do these side quests. I have to go fetch some kittens. It's none of that stuff where it's like, it's flowing very well, at least at this point. It's doing a good job of giving me that sensation I need. And then also it will evolve into something that's going to build into the later game, the late game stuff. Whereas you'll
Mhm.
have training grounds, you'll have a monster arena that's going to be like a huge part of late game content. And yeah, so like there's a lot of stuff that you can do here if you put your time into it.
And not only
Nice.
that, but one thing that I noticed with all of the game's systems is so if I'm out in the overworld and I'm going and I'm seeing these items, well, I'm going out of my way to pick some of them up. But along the way, going out of my way, I'm also getting into random encounters. And I found that if I went to go collect the items and got into random encounters and didn't run away from the random encounter, I didn't run away from a single random encounter. I also didn't feel like the game had too many random encounters,
Mm.
but I did find myself always well leveled for the content that I was about to do. Like if it said recommended
Okay.
level, I was either at it or a level above. Like,
Yeah, and the
and this was
grinding
just
is
from
not that hard. Like
Awesome.
it does not take a lot of time. Sorry to cut you off. I just want to
Mhm.
jump in there
No, you're good.
to like because that was something important to me. Where I think the toughest challenge was the very first one because I mean I didn't have the Fire Good Fighters tutorial, the little beginner's guide that's going to be publishing tomorrow. So be on the lookout for
I'm
that.
looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
need that one.
So the
Oh no,
beginner's
on
guide
the
will
4th, not tomorrow. We can't put it
we're
out tomorrow.
recording this, and then this thing publishes tomorrow, which will mean when I say
Oh,
tomorrow,
oh
it means
yeah.
tomorrow. So,
Okay.
I was thinking ahead.
Aha.
So yeah. Anyways, on
Damn.
Thursday the 4th, you'll see the beginner's guide. That's the day the game releases. If I'm correct, I think it's the 4th or
Mhm.
it's the 5th. But whatever day the game
Mhm.
releases, it's going to be out there for you guys to watch. The beginner's guide, and there's a lot of helpful tips and tricks in there, but I didn't have that. And so I got into the first path, right? Going down the first path, getting into the big boss battle. I only had 5 party members. All right. And in this game, you can have a party of 8. We got to talk about that.
Yo, all right.
I really want to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are blazing through my questions. This is great. I was going to ask about the difficulty curve. You guys kind of covered that. That's perfect. So let's just segue straight into combat. So we'll get back to that, how many party members are in combat question. But first, I don't know. So I don't know if that's an evolution from the second game or where that came into play. Maybe that was Champions of the Continent. So that's my first question is, how does Octopath Traveler 0 refine or evolve their sort of classic break and boost combat system?
Vinny, I'm going to ask you this question, man. Did any of the Octopath games have a party of 8? Like a front row, back row?
I don't believe so. I think you had your 8 party members, but I believe it was just a front row, and you can switch them out from party formations. But I don't think you had all 8 people on the battlefield with you at the same time.
Yeah, in the first game, for sure, you had 4.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think 2. I know Champions of the Continent gave you 8 people, but the mobile game was definitely different.
Okay. Yeah, because dude, I love this 8 party member system.
Yeah. Tell me about it, Dan.
Dude,
walk me through this. How does this work?
So
we're talking about high fives and
they're walking.
I need to know more about this.
So I'm gonna pitch it over to you, Vinny, because I know you're really excited about, and you're the mechanic guy. Like you love gameplay mechanics and stuff like that. But for me, just to kind of give you my baseline thoughts here, dude. Like going into that boss battle, I only had 5. Which means I had somebody in the back row, and he's standing directly behind one of the other characters, and you can place them where you want them to. And this is where the strategy comes into play as well. So where it's like, oh, if I have him, he's got a bow and arrow and an axe or something, and then this guy's he's my scholar. He's got magic spells and stuff. So that's a good for me. I like that. So that pairing, because I can use magic. Or, hey, if magic's not working, I'm going to swap them in and use that. There's no penalty to swapping in. In fact, it's almost beneficial to have them in the back row, because they start every round, every turn order, they get a boost in HP and SP, which is your skill points to be able to use some of the bigger attacks. So, like, you can put them in the back row. They can't attack from the back row. They can't do anything but just sit there and wait. But they're building up HP and SP. And then when it gets to that person's turn order, like where you have like a pairing, you can swap between those 2. So it's kind of Final Fantasy X style, where you can swap party members, but you're only able to swap between the pairing that you have.
Okay.
And I really, really love that, because there's a lot of synergy that you can build up. What is that?
What is synergy?
With synergy? What? That's a Magic the Gathering thing that me and Vinny do. There is a synergy that you can build up, right? Between the pairings, and you can move the pairings around. I went into the final boss, or not the final boss, but like I went into a boss battle. I didn't even know how to even swap. I was confused. I didn't know. I was like, what is this guy doing standing back there? Is there a way that I can utilize this? But anyways, watch the beginner's guide. A lot of helpful tips and tricks there. Yeah, so once you realize you can swap between the pairings, dude, and then you get a party of 8 and everybody has a pairing, oh man, because you enter a flow state. Man. Like you're every battle, you know what the pairings are, you know what the weapons they have. And Vinny, I'm going to toss this over to you, because you love talking about mechanics. So talk about the mechanics of this comp.
Hold on a second. I'm going to throw an extra question in there for you, Vinny. We're going to do a 2 for 1. So let's talk about, we're talking about the combat system. You can say whatever you want about it, but I want to hear more about these job interactions and abilities and party mechanics that stood out to you. I know you are a big mechanic guy. You love digging into the guts, figuring out a really good way to take advantage of all the tools that you're given. So sell me on this. Tell me about all these interactions, abilities, and mechanics. Like, what are the standout pieces from this synergy piece that Dan just brought up?
So, like he said, similar to Final Fantasy X, where you can swap characters, like on their turn. But unlike Final Fantasy X, and this is something that I think is a benefit, a boon to the 8-player party. y- all of it comes down to strategy, and someone like the boss. You see the turn order at the top of the screen. It's very conditionally turn based, um, and you're like, okay, it I know the boss is gonna attack next. Someone might be going down, but in the back of your mind, you're like, "That's okay, because if this person goes down," and there's a cute little animation for it too, but if this person goes down in the front row, their person in the back row comes to the front row, drags them to the back row, and then they go into the
Oh,
front row.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So, the
Okay.
front row, back row thing is very, very much like you have your front line, they're attacking, they're doing damage, and the back row is kind of like taking a knee, resting because they were just in the battle. And then the front line gets tired. You swap people out into the front, while, like you asked earlier, with the job class system, boost and break systems, you are acquiring boost every turn you don't boost. So if you have somebody in the back row for 3 turns, they just acquired 3 boosts. And you can
Oof.
kind of like think of ways to, like, all right, this boss has, 10 on their break gauge. Well, you have people in the back row just kind of gaining boost, while the people in the front row are probably trying to debuff the boss, or just you're trying to find these synergies, and then you switch everybody to the front row, and then you just boost everybody, break their shield, and then you have the back row change back to the front row again, and while the boss is broken, taking more damage, you have everybody, instead of boosting their basic attack to do more attacks, you have people boosting their really heavy glass cannon abilities to do as much damage to the boss as you can. And then you can also have like the synergies of people who can kind of negate damage and provoke. You can kind of have them with your glass cannon people. All of the damage is going to be heading to that one person, and this is where the job class system comes in. You have people who are kind of masters of their job, but also because of new systems in this game, you can give people you could have a scholar who is just doing all this black magic style stuff, but also you can save a slot and give them some form of heal if you want your front row and your back row to both have some kind of dedicated healer. Um,
Mm.
so that's what's different about this one with the job class system, is you have people who have jobs, but they can also get like a part-time job doing something else, like
I like that.
you have a scholar, and then the scholar has a part-time job of just being like a thief. You give them steal, and then they can steal stuff if they don't really got anything going on that's specific to their job. So you can kind of mix and match people too. You're not very much dedicated to what they are good at. They're going to learn passive abilities for what they're good at. But if you know of a part-time job that might go really well with their passive ability,
Mhm.
you can mix and match all you want there,
Yeah,
which
and
I think is brand new to this series.
yeah, it's not as there's not a sense of freedom as much as I would like. And
Mhm.
maybe I don't say if I want to say hope for. I don't want to say that because it still works. It's just not what I expected, right? It's not like the Final Fantasy Tactics style to where it's like, oh, I've mastered this ability from this job class and I can carry it over and take it into this. There are, like Vinny was saying, a lot of things like that, but some of them have exclusively to a certain weapon, like it's tied to a certain weapon. So
Mhm.
like if the ability is like a rain of arrows or something like that, you got to have a bow and arrow. Like you can't
Mm,
transfer that
right.
to anybody. Like they can't have a part-time job of an archer. They have to be an archer. Like they're just not able to use
Mhm.
that ability. So there are some abilities that are exclusive to tied to that weapon. But
Mhm.
yeah.
So I got to say, one thing that stood out as you were describing this combat system to me, Vinny, there's
Mhm.
sort of this build and release, and it almost feels like there's story moments baked into the combat, not in that there's a narrative happening, but that the narrative is sort of being created in your mind. Like this guy's doing this and he's going to set up this. And like you're telling me the story
Mhm.
of your battle experience. And that really goes a long way to sell me on what combat is like, because there's this mini narrative purely in your head, right? That's happening during combat. So that's going to feel personal to everybody, and the way that they design their characters, the strategy that they implement in combat. And so I like that sort of that freedom, right? That possibility or potential for control over what happens in a way that gives you ownership of it. So let's talk about that for a second. So Octopath is known for freedom of progression. So does Octopath Traveler 0 encourage exploration any differently than past games this time around?
That's a good question. I would say it does promote exploration because of what they have littered in the overworld. There are things I Metroidvania would be a bad way to describe it, but there are definitely things you see that you can't open, and it's like, this thing is locked. And the game tells you how to unlock it, but in order to do so, you need to do a bunch of other stuff, which also promotes doing other quests, other explorations. Um, and then also there are kind of artificial walls, I would say. I guess you could call it an artificial wall, where very early on in the game, you can be in a zone that says level 4, and you'll be walking, and then you'll see another zone literally attached to this zone, and
Level
it'll say,
30, level 30.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
go
it's
this
like
way.
exactly. And funny enough, I ran into a part where I accidentally went into a level 39 zone, and I could promise you, in the single digit levels at this point.
Oh,
And this is also kind of a example of how low the random encounter is.
Hmm.
It's not it's not egregiously high like in a lot of other random encounter games.
mhm.
I went into this zone, made it deep enough into the zone to find a treasure chest, found a really good weapon in
Oh
the treasure
wow,
chest,
nice.
and then started moving back towards, you know, uh, the other path that I was gonna take. And then I got into a battle, and I noticed something was awry. Something was definitely awry when the enemies got to go before I did. I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then they started
The
doing
entire front row is dead.
triple triple my damage, my health bar, and I was like,
Mm,
"Oh god, I need to run." So I ran, and I made it back to safety with the weapon, and I was like, "Cool, this is
nice.
mine
Yeah,
now."
yeah.
Um,
It's a really good place to
Well,
grind too. If you run into a level that's
mm,
an area that's about 5, 6, maybe 6 levels higher than you, it's still possible because the game does the break system. So like
mhm,
you can do 1 damage on them, but if you're hitting them with an axe and they're weak to axe, it's doing shield damage and it'll break them. And once you break them, you have an opening to do some stuff. And I mean, there's an opportunity to do some things. So if it's a good place to kind of level up a little bit, go get those high level weapons and those treasure chests or high level equipment and get on out of there before you get wrecked. But like
mhm,
yeah, I mean it's encouraged to do a little bit of that exploration, but I will say that the dungeon design, I really like the dungeon design in this one. It's
mhm,
not egregious with like you go down this entire path and then there's nothing there. And you're just like,
mhm.
what was it? Usually there's going to be a chest there and it's going to be a pretty nice thing to pick up.
Mhm,
There are little like design choices that I thought was kind of they're just like little extra flourishes, but there's really nothing to do. Now, I not a long path leading to nothing, but there will be occasionally a little notch that comes out, and you're like, and you go down there. I'm like, what's the point of this notch? Why did we put this little tiny path that goes up, and you take about maybe 5, 10 steps. You get to the end of it, and you're like, you're just sitting there looking around like you're John Travolta, just
yeah.
is there like something I can walk over, pick up? And there's nothing like that. It's not Final Fantasy 3 style to where it's like you're opening hidden pathways or you're picking up something from the ground that you didn't really see unless you walked over it. It's nothing like that. So these little nooks are for nothing, but it's not that big of a deal because you can literally see the end of the nook. You just don't walk down them. There's no need to walk down. There's no need to do it. But yeah, it took me a little bit to realize that.
Since you're saying that, there is a feature when you're in the overworld, you can zoom in and out, so you can see more of the overworld
Dude,
or see
I didn't
less.
even know about this until I accidentally flicked the thumbstick down. I said, "Whoa, did I just zoom out? Like, what is this?" So like, you could actually like pull the right thumbstick down, and you'll zoom out enough to see like what Vinny was saying, and then you can even zoom in if you want like a more personal experience. You can get like right up in that pixels, man, and just you're walking around like there's your pixel character. You can't see 2 feet in front of you, but there he is. You can do that. So that's kind of cool thing. You can also press start when you're in a battle to speed it up 2 times. So 2 times faster for the animations, which is really, really nice. Once you start to get into that flow state, you're like, okay, the animations are cool, but I've seen them 100 times. Press that start button, and now you're 2 times speed, and those battles go by. They're like just rapid fire, man. And then it's just so cool. The effects happening on the screen, so good.
It's embarrassing that it took me 10 hours to figure out that there was a 2x speed.
So the quality of life feature came in like right when you needed it.
When you accidentally stumbled upon it. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so I have a big question here. You mentioned earlier 30 characters. So I'm gonna pull a quote here from Suzuki from this Inverse article. You can recruit potentially up to more than 30 characters in your party. We tried to think about how we can make sure that each character's individual uniqueness still shines through as they encounter and interact with the protagonist. We want to make sure we're providing variety and a lot of diverse ways in which they can become your party member. For example, you might meet a character at a tavern. They consult with you about wanting to help on something. Afterwards, they might join your crew. Or perhaps after using a path action, they might become your party member. Or something unexpected might suddenly unfold as an event in the game which triggers them joining. Then there's the more traditional format where the story progresses naturally, and because of the plot, they join your team. So there's a lot of sort of like gameplay and narrative reasons he explains for how they join the party. But I'm more interested in how does this affect the gameplay? So you can slot 8 characters. Are you leveling all these characters? How many characters did you guys get? Let's start there. And how did that work mechanically playing with a party that size? Like, what does that look like?
I can say not so much on the question about do the people that are not in your party level up, because I just hit the point where I have more than 8 and I haven't done much leveling without some certain people in my party, but I can say that I have noticed the people that come into your party are going to be the average level of your party members.
It's nice.
Which is nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
It is really nice. They're like usually a level below or something like that. And they come in with a lot of job points. So they come in with like say my party has about 5 jobs or 5 abilities unlocked, right? So there's about, I don't know, maybe about, let's go with 8 because that's the magic number. So there's about 8 abilities, right? And if you have 5 of them unlocked for most of your party members, the new party member that comes in will be about a level below, and they'll come with enough job points that'll give you like, hey, you can unlock like 5 of them to get this party member up to snuff. Put them in your party, have fun. So I do really like that. So it's not like I said, it's not like an annoyance. It's something that helps out a lot to have the party member come in ready to go. I have about 12 party members, I think. And like I said, I kind of choose my core. There's maybe like 1 or 2. I'm like, all right, this person, you're probably not gonna last long. As soon as somebody cool enough comes in, I'm probably gonna drop you out. You're probably gonna get out of here. You're not in the MySpace top 8 anymore. You're probably out. They'll find out later when they go to my MySpace page and they're like, yo, I'm not here. And then that causes drama, but there are moments like that where I am waiting for a certain character to fill a certain role. And there's a lot of characters that uses axes. I've noticed, there's a lot of
Mm.
characters that come in like that. But there's sometimes you're like looking for that synergy, and you're like, okay, I do need somebody to sit behind this pairing here that would be just perfect, and maybe that's encouraging you to go find that character somewhere out there. They do have their own list of abilities too, so some are exclusive to them, which is cool. So one of my, I'll call her a mage. We'll call her a mage because she uses a lot of magic, but she only really uses dark magic and lightning magic. So if the enemy is weak to ice, well, I need somebody who's got ice magic. You know what I mean? So it might be beneficial to me to find, maybe have two mages in my party, somebody, and then not pair them together, or pair them together, however it works for you, right? Because then you're like, okay, well, they're my two mages, so this slot is literally my mage slot. I can swap them whatever I want. But yeah, I mean, there's like things like that where you're like, I need a fire and ice mage. I need somebody who specializes in that. I need, so you're able to do that. Yeah, I think once I start getting more characters, more companions, I don't necessarily know exactly how much I'm going to use it. That might be the thing where I was like, I'm kind of cool with my core 8 right now. Maybe swap one. One's ready to go. But yeah, but I really, really cannot overstate how much I love this combat, the gameplay here, where I am almost addicted to it. Like, it's like that Final Fantasy VII Remake addiction, like where when the first time you play a remake and you love that combat style so much, you just want to get in random encounters just because it's just fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one, it's just fun to do. It's fun to get into this flow state of like, swap a character out, hit them with that. You're looking at and you have to discover what their weaknesses are, unless if you have like analyze, which will indicate one of their weaknesses. But yeah, like you hit them with an axe, that wasn't effective. Next time I hit them with a sword, there it is. That's the weak point. Now I'm just gonna bombard them with sword attacks. You know what I mean? Like, so it's fun to find the weakness, attack the weakness, break the character or break the enemy. Just unload your massive firepower at them when they're broken, and then just I will bring in this because like once you're about 15 hours in, which is you scratch the surface. Like, you haven't played the game that much, because this is a 90-hour video game for
Epic.
like the main story quest. So that's not including all of the side content, the town building. That, like, we're talking about like, hey, if you're playing the game, maybe you are doing a side quest here and there, you're gonna play this game for 90 hours of content. So I would say halfway. I think me and Vinny are about halfway through the game. I don't know. We didn't say that at the start, but hopefully us talking about this game is enough to get you guys into it. Like, we're about halfway in, and there's so much more to do. So I was curious. I reached out to Gen 7, who was on our Dragon Quest review. Now, Gen 7 also got a review code, so please go support Genesis 7. That's Genesis VII. I'll try to include the link in the description. I'll try to remember to do that. Because he's going to have one of his awesome reviews that he normally has up, and that's going to be a much like more digestible review, probably about like 15-20 minutes. So Genesis, I reached out to him and I was like, hey man, is this battle system going to become monotonous? Like, if I'm halfway through and I got another like 40 hours to go, that flow state that I enjoy now, is it eventually going to start to wear off on me? Like, that was a question I wanted to have to pose to him. And he says, yeah, later stages in the game require more strategy in battle. For example, some of the bosses can double their shield, some can restore it, some can block their weaknesses so you can't take their shield points, some swap them around, and some summon adds to protect them to get their big attacks in so they can get really tough. And you can unlock more jobs and get more ultimate attacks as you go. So it does keep evolving. Even 30, 40 hours into the game, you're still that combat system is still becoming fresh and fresh. And I will say that some of the boss fights, I can see the beginnings of a stir.
Mhm.
There's a
I
beginnings, right? Like there's a beginning going on where you're just like, oh, I see what this boss was like, bringing in something that literally poisoned the ground, and you're just like, oh, like I gotta get rid of that thing. I gotta find its weakness, get rid of that. While this guy over here is she or whatever this enemy is like freaking building up their ultimate or something. You're just like, oh no, I gotta get rid of this. I gotta break this, or if I break this, it gets rid of the fog or the poison. And there's like a thought going on rather than just getting in that flow state, like, aha, I got him. Instead of getting into that, now you're just like, whoa, hold a second. Let me think about it. I like that. I really do like that.
I was gonna say the a lot of the early game bosses do kind of feel like raid bosses where they're not your typical boss. Like you fight bosses and then you fight these like raid bosses that have these mechanics to them
Mm-hmm.
that require you to think and maybe even fail your first time. And because one thing I did want to mention, I should have mentioned this earlier, but a lot of stuff, if you fail at this, the game does a good job at kind of showing you why you failed at it. Like
Mm.
if you fail at a battle, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go into this with knowledge now and kind of avoid what just happened to me. So
Yeah, love
nothing
that.
so far has felt unfair.
That's a sign of a really good turn-based RPG. When you fail, you go back into it after kind of messing around with a little bit of thing. Maybe your pairings need to be changed up, and then you go into it. Get some different job class for the protagonist, because you can change your job class for your protagonist as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, I think that's pretty good on gameplay. Let's move on to visuals. So,
Oh, real quick, so we're moving on from gameplay. I just want to look at my notes
yeah,
here. I do want to say that when the dungeon design, you have certain, like, sometimes there will be a strong enemy guarding a valuable chest, which is really cool. You can actually see that in the actual you can see that actually in the dungeon there, the big enemy, and then it'll tell you like elite enemy, and it'll be like
mm,
yellow or red if you watch
mm,
out, if so if this one's gonna whoop you or not. So that's really cool. I like that. And I mean, like I said, the combat system peaks when you're at the party of 8. So there is a way to get a party of 8, or at least a nice complete party before the first boss. Like, unfortunately, I didn't do that. So the first boss was very, very tough for me. But yeah, watch the guide video and they explain how you can do that. And then that's, yeah, incredible amount of content. That's all. That's literally what I wrote in all caps, bold letters. Incredible amount of content in this game, gameplay wise.
Mhm.
nice. Any closing thoughts on that one, Vinny? Anything
Uh
else you missed on gameplay?
just to touch on that like overworld mini boss that you can see,
Mm-hmm.
that is part of one aspect of like the storyline, but fighting them is pretty crucial for other parts of the story because you need to beat them to get level up material for your town. So
Mm.
you want to fight those things if you want to do the town stuff. So the game makes you want to do things. The game doesn't make
Okay.
stuff feel like a chore. It makes you want to do stuff.
Like a good reward system, good balance.
Hmm.
Awesome.
But that's all for me.
Okay. Very good. I think visual is going to be pretty easy. The opening question is just how does the HD 2D presentation evolve? Like, say, compared to the earlier games, is it very much familiar? Are the set pieces bigger? Are the lighting any different? Like, are there any sort of evolutions that are pushing this above the others, or is it just more of what you already expect done as well as it's ever been done?
Um, so I will say it's a familiar visual with how the game is kind of structured, but it's 2.0. Like it is the definitive way that you should play this game.
Mm.
It looks beautiful, it looks great. One of the things that I really really liked that I visually saw from the first, I don't know, I want to say 10 15 minutes of the game, one of the enemy sprites that you see just really made me feel like you took a sprite from like a classic like Final Fantasy 1 enemy, and
Mhm.
then you know how like they have kind of like weird body structure like in their sprite. They kind of have that weird body structure, but put against that 3D background, it's like I'm playing a classic JRPG
Mhm.
in this new element, and it just works together so well. So it definitely has that familiar Octopath like kind of depth, but
Mhm.
2.0, like it this was its glow up. Like this was very, very, very beautiful. It was very stunning. My first 30 minutes, I don't think I stopped saying wow.
Yeah, wow. It is
Nice.
it's beautiful pixel, man. Pixel art representation here of the HD 2D. So the most recent game I played in HD 2D format was Dragon Quest, right? So I played Dragon Quest 1 and 2. I played even Dragon Quest 3 last month. I was kind of experiencing Dragon Quest for the first time with HD 2D. And I did play Octopath Traveler 1 and 2, just like I said, like just dabbled in it for a bit. And they didn't hook me, but I remember really loving the art style. And it's honestly the art style of HD 2D is why I wanted to get into Dragon Quest. Like I was like, dude, I love the art style. I want that. I didn't really comprehend, like when you asked me this question during the Dragon Quest thing, like how did the HD 2D thing evolve? If I would have played Octopath Traveler and then Dragon Quest, I would have been like, "Oh my god, dude, this is a completely different visual. Like this is not this is not the HD 2D that you remember in Octopath. This is like Dragon Quest 1 and 2 and 3 has a more rendered look. It has a more realistic kind of approach to it in a way. This is pixel art. Octopath Traveler is pixel art, whereas Dragon Quest feels more like a 3D game that's made into a 2D game. And I think that might have been where my problem was mentally, where I was like, I want to rotate the camera in Dragon Quest. I don't know why I
Mm.
can't rotate the camera. In this game, never even thought about it. Like it never
Mhm.
occurred to me that I wanted to rotate the camera around in the town. But Dragon Quest I did. So that might be the where the this mental conundrum came from, where I was just like, oh, okay, Octopath Traveler is very much your pixel remaster in a way. Like this is your pixel. Like imagine if they took Final Fantasy VI and they did it with HD 2D. This is the HD 2D look, not the Dragon Quest game. That would fit. Like the HD 2D of Dragon Quest would fit definitely with like I don't know. We can go with like Final Fantasy V would probably look really nice in that style. Whereas this definitely feels more like a Final Fantasy VI in a way. I don't know, like just the pixel, like the art, the atmosphere of it. It seems like a Final Fantasy VI style thing, and this pixel art for the HD 2D really looks good. And it shines in 4K. I got it on my 4K screen. I got it on the HDR. Everything's looking great. I even played it a lot of this game on my Steam Deck, and it runs beautifully on Steam Deck. This is a perfect game for on the go, or then you put it on the screen. Sometimes when you play like a turn-based RPG, a pixel game, like maybe like the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, I love playing it on the big screen, but that's my portable game. You know, like I'm taking that on the go. Whereas this one, I want to play it on the big screen. A lot of the time where I'm like, ooh, I'm about to get to the next chapter of this path. I'm not playing it anymore on the Steam Deck. I'm putting that on the big screen. You know what I mean? So it does encourage that because the art is so beautiful, the visuals here. Um, yeah, I also want to shout out the artwork by Naoki Ikushima. Yeah, Naoki Ikushima. That is the art that you see down here right now. Holy crap! Like
Awesome.
we don't talk enough about Naoki Ikushima. Like we don't talk about this enough. He's been Naoki Ikushima's been doing the artwork for a lot of these HD 2D games, like all of the Octopath games. Even did the artwork for the Dragon Quest series, the box art for Dragon Quest. Oh man, that he responsible for that. And the artwork, this is not even in the game obviously, so this is more of like an attachment to the game, but I wanted to shout it out because I love this art style. I love the artwork from Naoki Ikushima. I think a depth of field toggle might have been nice. I know that is like the iconic attribute of the HD 2D Octopath stuff, like to have that depth of field. It's blurry around it, but we're bringing the attention to the thing that they want you to bring your attention to. And they did that in Dragon Quest, but in Dragon Quest HD 2Ds, you can actually turn that off. You can toggle it. And I think it looks beautiful without it. I actually kind of played it without it. And then when this game, I was kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to toggle it. But it still looks beautiful, and it's almost like I said, like it's kind of the key attribute of this style, to have that depth of field. Anyways, that was one thing where I was like, maybe a toggle would have been nice.
Awesome. So before we move on from visuals, any standout environments or sprites that you want to give like a honorable mention to?
I said it during the Dragon Quest. I'll say it again. These HD 2D games shine when it's in the dark. You know what I mean? Like when you put them in a dark location, nighttime, and then you have that little lantern, it just looks so good. There's a moment in the Path of Power where there's more like special effects or like some effects going on, and it's just lighting up the environment. Oh man, so good because it's like a nighttime, but there's like little like explosions of light, kind of lighting it up.
I agree. Path of Power, just the dark, gloomy setting against all of those very brilliant blues. Just very that was my favorite visual, I think, so far. And also I'm very, very honorable mention to whoever made the water in this game.
Yeah.
The water is beautiful. the water,
like
the ocean, the rivers. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's good, man. Yeah, the HD 2D, there's a reason why they're making more. And there's a reason why they have the @HD 2D games on Twitter. Like it's just because they found something great and they're going to keep on sticking with it. And I think we're all hoping for maybe one day we get that Final Fantasy HD 2D for games that, you know, like, and then plus with the voiceovers that they're adding to the Octopath. Oh man,
Yep.
like, and with Final Fantasy Tactics voiceover and Dragon Quest having some voiceover, but like, yeah, we want to see more.
Yeah,
you guys are gonna laugh at me, but the entire time playing this, I was like, wow, Final Fantasy 3 would look so amazing.
Please
like
put
this.
Final Fantasy 3. It would, come on.
Dude, Eureka and all that
like,
stuff in this.
That's
in
the
this
thing
in this art style.
Where like this, so that is a conversation. That is a conversation to be had, right? Because like now that I've been awakened to the two separate styles of HD 2D, that I've been like, it kind of slipped my mind. But now I'm like, oh no, Final Fantasy 3 would be awesome in the Dragon Quest HD 2D. Whereas like that kind of matches the vibe of Dragon Quest. Yeah. Whereas like if you hit Final Fantasy 2, that needs to be done in this style. Right? Like it's just this one has like this pixel art style of the HD 2D, the Octopath, just has a very mature vibe. It has a mature vibe. I'd like to maybe they can do it. Maybe they can pull it off with like a more vibrant and playful, but you know, I don't associate the style with that right now.
Or a hybrid where you have, I don't know if that would clash too much, but all of those dark, gloomy parts of Final Fantasy 3 you have in the Octopath style, and then all the other stuff is in the Dragon Quest style. I don't know if that would clash too much, but who knows?
It's a conversation for sure, and it's something that I think it's a testament to the visuals here that we want to see more. You know,
definitely. All right, so we are moving on to, we did audio, so let's talk about legacy. So I'm going to return to the inverse article. The last bit I got from the article here is, do you see something like Octopath Zero as a way to immortalize mobile games that go away once service ends? Was that a factor in wanting to create this game? Suzuki said, as you touched upon, when it comes to taking a mobile game and then turning it into a single-player RPG or console game, was a very difficult process. The overall design and way the experience is built is completely different. So even when it comes to the overall design or level designs, we essentially had to build things from scratch. And it really felt like we were rebuilding this game from the ground up. That said, it's true. We were also able to take the experience that unfolds in Champions of the Continent and give it a refined version of that. Put that in Octopath Traveler 0 as well. It's a great thing that all these features that were beloved by fans are being brought to console. So let's talk about this for a minute. So Octopath has already sort of carved out a niche in modern JRPGs. How do you think Zero contributes to that legacy?
Bro, can I just jump in and go
Please.
back to, like, I think what everybody's thinking. All right, like, I want to jump in to what I think all Final Fantasy fans, just it hit them in the face when you said that question that was posed. And
Yeah.
let's just address that right away. You get Ever Crisis, and you take that. I'm gonna watch my mouth. Watch my mouth.
Watch your mouth.
I'm gonna watch
But keep on
your
going.
mouth. Watch your mouth. Okay, so they removed for Octopath Traveler 0, which is Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent on the mobile version. They removed all that gacha stuff, like Vinny was saying, all the gacha, all the mobileness of the game, and they developed it like it was a single player game. And this is what you get. Really, really freaking good game. You take Ever Crisis, you get rid of all the gacha, you get rid of the and again, this is a personal taste. People like that stuff. But personal taste, Ever Crisis, it's another chance at a remake. Remember the trailer when it said that? Another chance at a remake and another one. And you get you get this opportunity to have that style that they were trying to go for in Ever Crisis, where like sometimes you have playable dungeons where you're running around, but you take that and you just make it a full-blown remake of the OG Final Fantasy VII, and then maybe you do get in those battles that have that action, more action, like with remake models and everything like that. You can maybe make that, like they said, they built this combat system for Octopath Traveler from scratch because they were like, all right, yeah, the mobile version, there's a semblance of something there, but we're gonna take it and we're gonna rebuild it. You can do that with an Ever Crisis port to a console, like a console version, and you can take that combat system and build it just like they did for this. And man, I think they would really have something special. Especially if they took the time to go add the voiceovers to it, to rebuild that game for a single player experience like they did with this. I think Octopath Traveler 0 proves that it can be done. I hope that you go out and buy it, people watching this video. You go out and buy it and show Square Enix that they can make money off of this. You know what I mean? Like, go out and buy this very generous $50 price tag. We're talking a $49.99 rather than a full $59.99 or $69.99 game. Maybe we're not going $79.99. This is a beautiful, I think, perfectly priced $49.99 game. Especially for the 90 hours worth of content
Bro,
you're
that's,
getting in it.
yeah, I mean, it's like 55 cents an hour, bro. Like, come on.
Exactly. And you're not yeah, come on, come on, you can do it. And it's not like you're buying the game and you're getting over encumbered with monetization. No, all of the content is here, right? So instead of spending the $50 on those gacha packs, spend the $50 on a beautiful full complete video game and show them that this formula works, so we can get Ever Crisis single player edition, you know, or like offline or not mobile edition, console edition, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I mean, like Octopath Traveler 0 it proves it, man. So I wanted to go on that tangent, and now I forgot your question. Maybe Vinny remembers it, but I'll throw it over to Vinny.
No, I also need a refresher.
Yeah, I need a refresher on the question. My bad.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say really. The question was, how do you think Octopath Traveler 0 contributes to the overall legacy of Octopath Traveler?
Nice.
I would say that th- this definitely shows that you could have an Octopath Traveler game, have a large cast of characters, but still give the power to the player in having their own character in
Mm-hmm.
the game rather than making them follow several different storylines. I think I think with the success of this one, I think we'll see probably more Octopath Travelers where it's more about collecting your companions rather than
Mm-hmm.
just living in the stories that are already predetermined, preset. You're you
Mm.
know, you are living out your character's journey rather than kind of being an audience to 8 people having a journey. And I think
Right.
that's the legacy this is gonna leave.
I would hope that they do exactly what you said. They learn from, or they adapt this of making your character the central character to the plot. I would hope that maybe in Octopath Traveler 3, you're gaining only 8 companions, like, and really
Mhm.
make them impactful companions. That would be my only critique, where it's like, but it's a different storytelling, right? So this game is telling the story really, really well with 30 plus companions. It's still being told really, really well. Whereas I would like to have Octopath Traveler 3 to be about 8 personal journeys, but like make me at the center of it still, rather than I don't, experiencing eight
It's
different.
like a fusion of this and
Yes,
previous. Okay.
exactly, like a fusion there.
Very good.
I would like that. Yeah.
Now this question is for both of you. Since you both played previous Octopath Traveler, do you feel like this game is a good first Octopath to play, or would you recommend a different entry point for the series?
So since this Octopath actually is a I guess you would consider it a prequel. This, I believe, happens before the events of 1 and 2. So this can be played last, this could be played first. I don't think it matters where in the series that you jump into this one, but I do think that this one is going to ease you into the Octopath world
Mm.
the best. Like, this is what is going to, like, if you play this and you don't like it at all, I don't think you're gonna like Octopath Traveler as a series. But this game is, I think, the jumping point for anybody who's never played Octopath Traveler. Play this, and if you enjoy it, I think you'll appreciate the first two more for having played this one.
That's
Perfect.
fair. Yeah, you also I mean, obviously this being my essentially my first Octopath Traveler, where I kind of dabbled, like I said, in the first two, but this being my first, I can absolutely, without a doubt, say yeah, you can start with this one for sure. Like,
Mm.
there was a location when I walked into it, and it just so by happenstance it was the location that I started in. Like that was the character I started uh with Octopath Traveler 1, I think it was. As soon as I walked in, I went, "Oh, yeah, I remember this place." Like, just I remember the biome, or the area, and I was like, "Whoa, whoa, this is actually looking familiar." So there was a moment like that where I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess some of these locations on the continent here were in Octopath Traveler 1, obviously if it's a prequel." But yeah, so at least I think so. Yeah, so I would say you can absolutely start with 0, and I honestly would think you should. I would say you should.
Mm.
At least my personal opinion. This one actually hooked me, where the other two didn't.
Awesome. Okay. So just a few closing questions. So for Final Fantasy fans out there who've never played Octopath, how would you describe the core differences in tone or game design philosophy, or even how would you compare them? Start with you, Dan.
Yeah, so this game is, like I said, it is dark. It is I would say this is a game for storytellers, and a game for people who enjoy reading stories and just consuming like um whether that be like short stories or like um things like that, right? Reading books and things. Whereas Final Fantasy feels like it's paced to a point where they want to get you that story, and they want to get you going on that adventure. And like in your, like I said, I mean, at 30 hours, the point that I'm at right now, a Final Fantasy game would have been done. Right? Like I would be done. So what you're getting into is a very large video game. Like, so Octopath Traveler 2, it's almost, at first I said it's almost too much story. I think I texted you that, Wiley, where I was like, this is almost too much story. Like, there's so much story here. But like I said, I got hooked. Like, obviously they're doing something right, whereas the story that they're telling me, I want to read it, or I want to be involved in it, or and play it and stuff. So, whereas Final Fantasy, man, I have this rule: if it doesn't hook you in the first, like, it has to hook you in the first 5 hours of the game. You should know the plot. You should know like the end game. You should know the villain and what's happening. And I think that's every Final Fantasy does that really, really well. Most Final Fantasy do that really, really well, where like you get what's happening in the first 5 hours of the game, or at least an idea. Whereas this game, first 5 hours of the game, oh well, there goes my hometown. I guess you're kind of experiencing the story, and as you go, like I said, there is an overarching plot that's happening, and then like it's a very intriguing thing that I want to experience. But it doesn't take. It takes maybe 10, 15 hours before you get there. You know what I mean? Like yeah. So that's the differences between a Final Fantasy and Octopath, I think, for me.
So let me modify that question and flip it over to Vinny. So same question, I'll modify it, and if you want to comment on what Dan said, that's fine too. But are there any specific Final Fantasies that you've played that you would compare it to, or even just any eras of Final Fantasy that you would compare it to, classic PS1 or anything like that you would sort of just draw that comparison to for somebody who hasn't played an Octopath?
I'm trying to think. One of the aspects that I really like about Octopath Traveler 0 is there's obviously fantastical things going on. There's monsters, there's, magic, there's all of this stuff. But a lot of the problems in the game seem grounded in reality. Whereas Final Fantasy is like, prophecy, warriors of light, there's this cosmic space god coming to destroy the planet that we didn't know about until 15 minutes before the game was over. Like all of this stuff.
Sure.
But I would compare, what I was trying to think of is what is the Final Fantasy that is most grounded in reality? And I feel like 8 might be one of those. Believe it or not, I feel like 8 might be the closest to being grounded in reality when it comes to like the characters being more realistic. But I mean,
Tactics?
Tactics, yeah, maybe tactics. But again, like in Final Fantasy, the problems feel so grandiose that you just like. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII has its grounded in reality.
Yeah, every Final
moments.
Fantasy's always got that anchor to like, oh, this is a personal, a human story. But like, yeah, I see where you're going with this. It's tough to explain.
Seems very human. Like when we go down the path of power, we have obviously there's that grand fantastical theme going on, but also there's this feeling of like, do you choose love or do you choose the world? Or, there's there's stuff going on in the path of wealth where it's like, how easy is it to be persuaded by greed? Like how, like all of the characters in Octopath Traveler felt like it was very, very real. I mean, every time I think about it, I can't think of what path is my favorite, because whenever I think of like this path is my favorite, then I'm like, but the path of fame, like that one really hit me
that
hard.
One's wild.
And you guys are getting me hyped for this game.
And it hit me hard because it's like, wow, the characters just felt so real. Like obviously they were doing grand fantastical things, but it's like, wow, you are crazy in all the right ways. You know, I feel for you. I want to cry for you. I want to hug you, but also you're fucking crazy.
You're one crazy.
I feel like we haven't cursed the entire time, and I just cursed. So I apologize for that.
Man.
Timestamp it. We're getting no.
No.
So would it be fair to say then that maybe the storytelling is a lot more character driven, which isn't to say Final Fantasy stories are character driven, but they are very sort of plot, world, problem driven. And it sounds like Octopath is way more sort of like zoomed in, character focused. And
honestly, thinking about it and giving it a lot more, like while Vinny was talking, it's like I think Final Fantasy Tactics might just be the answer to that if you're trying to find some sort of anchor point to like how the story is told. I just maybe Final Fantasy 16 with its storytelling in a way, because I mean those two are pretty similar in my opinion, like as far as like that vibe. But yeah, like I gotta agree with Vinny. This is even when I was playing it, I couldn't really anchor it back to Final Fantasy in a way. It's a unique experience. It's a unique, it feels unique, and I think that's good. That's really good.
To its benefit.
It's to its benefit, and as a Final Fantasy like fan, and it still works for me. I think that's even more to its benefit. Like it still works for me. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's close it out. So I got one last question for both you guys. So if you had to pitch Octopath Traveler 0 to a Final Fantasy fan in one sentence, what would you say? We're gonna start with Venwu.
I'm with Venwu, yes.
Let's start with Venwu. Dan can close it out.
Oh man, I need to think.
So if I were to pitch this to a Final Fantasy fan, I think my pitch to them would be 8 on the field party members.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah,
brother.
Right in the heart, you got me.
Yo, this game made me out loud say, like, I'm in the living room by myself, nobody's home, and there was a moment with some characters, and like out loud, hell yeah, brother. Like, it's just, that's it. Just out loud, just came out. Oh man, 8 party members on the combat field. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I mean, 8 on-field party members.
That's a great pitch, especially for gameplay. It's like I don't know how you sum up all of the pillars in one sentence, but let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna use some commas. All right.
In less than 100 words.
100, yeah. Maybe that's how you do it. Maybe that's how you do it.
Yeah.
You think now that I know we've done 2 of these format reviews in this format, I know you're about to hit me with that question. Now I'm gonna give it some thought.
I'm gonna
actually have that ready to go. Let's go with a soundtrack that is right up there with Final Fantasy, or semicolon. Semicolon. Beautiful pixel HD 2D visuals, incredible special effects. These are commas. 8 party member synergy on the on the battlefield, comma.
Vinny gets full credit for that.
Dark, mature storytellers, book readers, storytellers, book reader, whatever. Lovers dream. That sound good? Something like that?
That sounds good.
Something like that. Yeah. I'll work on that better. Exclamation mark at the end. Yeah. Basically just, man, I really enjoyed this game, and I'm hoping when I see other outlets, I'm just curious now. Like, did we enjoy it? And then everybody else is like, but like I feel like this is really, really good. And I'm actually excited to keep playing this game after this review is done. Probably have more thoughts on it, maybe some afterthoughts later on. So Yeah, I mean, it's a sign of a good game when you get off work and you just want to come home and play.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll say this. I don't know if anybody has been playing this. This game got me to stop playing Arc Raiders, which I didn't think was going to be possible.
Nice.
Nice.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, hey, the boys have been waiting for me to play Rocket League, and I haven't been on there. I'm like, usually play Rocket League every night. I'm like, nah, man. And sometimes it's like, oh, I'm playing a game for a review, but like, I'm playing the game because I really want to. So I really enjoyed this game. I hope everybody goes to buy it, and I hope you enjoyed this review. And if you did, you know what to do. You know to like, you know to comment, you know to subscribe. But there's the reason why I want you to do that, right? Is because Square Enix, once again, shout out for hooking us up with some codes. And if you made it this far, maybe you really enjoyed our conversation. So please let that be known in the comments. I know for a fact Square Enix checks the comments. All right. Why do you think we got review codes? All right. You guys bring the hype. You bring that positivity. You bring that the love for Final Fantasy V, the content you're watching, and Square Enix wants to support people who have a good community who enjoy the content they're watching. So please comment and say that you enjoyed the review. Definitely comment if you say that this review encouraged you to buy the game. I imagine that Square Enix would love to see that. So there you go, guys. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'm not cutting anybody off. Any closing thoughts? I think we're all set. We're all good.
I'm good. Yeah.
There it is. This has been our Octopath Traveler 0 review. Once again, thank you to Fire Fighter for playing as much as you could of this game, and thank you to Excalibro for mediating this, asking some amazing questions. By the way, really enjoyed that, man. Thank you. And
my pleasure.
Thank you for watching this video. Thank you to Richard Stoles and Drumjod for equipping us with our ultimate weapons, and all of you that support us on Patreon, YouTube memberships, coffee. But just if you're watching this and liking it, thank you as well. Everything, it's all community. It all works. You know what I mean? Just like Octopath Traveler 0, we're building a community, and I'm stacking your houses right on top of it.
Oh God.
Veto.
Veto. Take care now. Bye then.